In conflict, the loudest person isn't winning, they're unraveling. You've seen it before. Someone raises their voice. They start to lecture, insult, interrupt. They try to dominate the space with sound and emotion. And you? You just sit there, still, cold, unbothered, no flinch, no reply, just eye contact and silence. That silence, it's not weakness, it's control. Because in conflict, the first person to lose emotional stability gives up strategic control, and the one who stays calm calculates and responds with cold logic. They don't win the argument, they win the frame. And that's the real victory. Part 1. Why emotion makes you lose ground. Conflict doesn't start with disagreement. It starts when one person loses control of their internal space. And once that happens, the battle is no longer about truth. It becomes about energy. And the one who leaks energy loses. What emotion really signals in conflict? Emotion isn't power, it's exposure. The angrier you get, the more you reveal where your insecurities are, what triggers you, what control you don't have. You might win the sentence, but you lose the frame. Because the one who stays calm becomes the center of gravity. Everyone else becomes reaction. How emotion shifts power. Away from you. You speak louder, they tune you out. You try to explain, they feel superior. You raise your tone, they lower their respect. Emotion signals, you got to me. I lost neutrality. I'm no longer calculating, just defending. And when that happens, you've already surrendered strategic position. What cold logic communicates instead? When you stay still, they can't read you, they can't predict your move, they start over-analyzing their own. You become the unknown, the unshakable, the calm force in a room of noise. And the human nervous system respects one thing above all: stability under pressure. In psychological warfare, emotion equals weak spot. It's not about not feeling, it's about not letting the other side see you bleed. Because the moment they sense they've broken your state, they go harder, they push further, they know the door is open. But when you show nothing, you become the wall they can't move, and most people don't know what to do with that. Part 2. Cold logic equals frame control under fire. Most people try to win conflict with force. More words, more volume, more emotion. But the ones who actually win don't play that game. They stay still. They stay cold. They control the frame dash, not through dominance, but through neutrality. What is frame control? Frame is the invisible structure of an interaction. It determines who sets the tone, whose reality becomes dominant, whose reaction dictates the rhythm. And in conflict, frame is everything. The person who keeps the frame dictates the outcome, whether they speak or not. How cold logic holds frame. You don't react to insults, you observe. Let them reveal themselves. You don't defend your worth. You act like your worth is already established. You don't interrupt or speed up. You slow everything down, forcing them to adjust. Your calm becomes oppressive. Your stillness becomes uncomfortable. Your non-response becomes psychological pressure. Real-world example. They say, "Oh, so now you think you're better than everyone." The emotional response: That's not what I said. Why are you twisting my words? The cold logic response. Pause. Direct eye contact. One sentence. You sound a bit defensive. Is something bothering you? No emotion, no explanation. Just frame reassertion. And now they are on trial. Why this works? Because most people expect chaos in conflict. They expect escalation. They expect you to play their emotional game. But when you don't, their strategy falls apart. Their emotional leverage dissolves. They start feeling unstable. And the mind always submits to the most stable force in the room. Cold logic doesn't mean passive. It means you're choosing timing, you're choosing language, you're choosing position. And because you're not burning energy trying to win, you're free to observe everything. You become the calm center. That throws everyone else off balance. They speak louder, you speak less. They talk faster. You slow it down. You don't overpower, you override. And that's how frame control is won, not by noise, but by calculated stillness. Part 3. Tactical response. Protocols for daily conflict. Cold logic isn't just a mindset, it's a system. And in daily conflict, you don't rise to the occasion. You fall back on your protocol. Why you need pre-installed responses. Conflict catches most people off guard, and when you're unprepared, you react emotionally. But when you've already decided how you respond, you no longer make decisions under pressure. You execute. Protocol versus emotion. Emotion says, say something now, prove your point, defend your ego. Protocol says, pause, hold frame, execute response number 2, walk away. And in that difference, you keep power. Build your tactical library, situational. Here's how to structure it. Situation 1, insult or personal attack. Protocol 01, neutral return, calm eye contact. One-liner reply. Interesting. Is that supposed to mean something? Pause, hold silence, walk away if necessary. Situation 2, guilt tripping or manipulation. Protocol 02, emotional redirection, no emotional reaction. Firm tone. You're not used to me saying no. You'll adjust. Switch topic or disengage completely. Situation 3, being interrupted or dismissed. Protocol 03, frame reclaim, don't fight to be heard. Wait, lower your tone intentionally. Speak slower and lock eye contact. You done? Now listen. Situation 4, provocation, testing boundaries. Protocol 04, silence as control. Say absolutely nothing. Let them get uncomfortable. When they stop, respond with, was that supposed to get a reaction? General rules of execution. Never raise your tone. Never defend your emotions. Never overshare. Always speak less than them. End conversations on your timing. Bonus protocol, the one-line exit. Sometimes the best response is to leave with power. I don't engage with noise. When you're ready to be real, I'm available. That energy doesn't reach me anymore. No reaction, no drama, just exit. And in that exit, you win the whole frame. People aren't used to this. They're used to emotional ping-pong, But when you speak once, then go still, they start hearing their own chaos, and they'll either adjust or collapse under their own noise. You don't control conflict by overthinking. You control it by preloading the system with logic-based weapons, because you didn't come to fight. You came to finish. Part 4. Emotional withdrawal as psychological pressure. You don't have to fight to win. Sometimes you just have to stop reacting, because when you remove your emotion from the field, you remove their power source, and that is when they start to unravel. Why emotional distance creates disruption. Most people are addicted to feedback. They speak to be validated. They provoke to feel control. They escalate to pull a reaction out of you. So when you withdraw emotionally, when you don't explain, defend, or flinch, you create a vacuum, and that vacuum becomes unbearable for them. What emotional withdrawal looks like. You no longer match energy. You no longer return fire. You no longer care out loud. You don't go cold to punish. You go cold to reclaim control. You stop feeding the game, and when the game stops getting emotional fuel, it dies. Strategic silence triggers their inner chaos. They insult, you pause. They raise their voice, you lower yours. They guilt trip, you hold eye contact and say nothing. They expected pushback, they got nothing. And now they're confused. Why isn't it working? Why aren't they reacting? Did I lose control? Yes. Yes, they did. You are no longer an emotional participant. The moment you step out of the emotional loop, you force them to deal with themselves. No more projections, no more hooks, no more leverage. They swing wildly, but hit only air. And that silence feels louder than any reply you could have given. Pressure by absence. Your emotional absence does 3 things. Removes friction. They have nothing to push against. Reveals weakness. Their intensity now looks like instability. Creates craving. They start wanting the reaction you used to give, because when you were reactive, they knew what to expect. Now, you're unreadable, and people fear what they can't predict. Emotional withdrawal is not detachment. It's design. You're not numbing, you're neutralizing. You don't exit to escape. You exit to create pressure, because when your energy is no longer accessible, people feel the absence more than they ever felt your presence. You don't need to yell, you don't need to explain. You just disappear emotionally and watch them fall into the space you used to fill. Part 5. Win without speaking. Let them collapse themselves. Most people lose because they say too much. They talk to gain power, but every word they speak leaks power. And the one who stays silent, composed, unshaken, wins without lifting a finger. Silence is not absence, it's pressure. In conflict, silence is not passivity, it's a spotlight. It forces the other person to fill the space, to justify, to over-explain, to reach. And the more they speak, the more unstable they look. Because in psychological warfare, whoever speaks most under pressure loses the frame. Let them reveal their weakness. When you don't react, they reveal everything. Their insecurity, their projection, their emotional dependence on your reaction. You become the mirror, and they start performing for themselves. All you have to do is sit still and let them unravel. Verbal silence equals frame domination. When you say less, your words gain weight, your energy becomes magnetic, your opponent gets louder, faster, sloppier, and now they're not debating with you, they're debating with themselves. You didn't outsmart them, you outlasted their emotional volatility. The collapse is internal. They don't realize it, but the silence is causing overanalysis, self-doubt, frame loss, emotional misfire. And when that hits, they start walking back their words, trying to fix tone, trying to make sure you didn't take it wrong. Too late. They already lost. You didn't speak. You didn't react. You just let them collapse under their own instability. And that's the purest kind of victory, the one they don't even see coming. Final CTA. You don't win conflict by being right. You win by being unshakable, because once you react, you've already stepped into their frame. You tried to prove, you tried to defend, you tried to be heard, and in that trying, you lost positioning. But when you stay calm, when you stay cold, when you speak only with intention, you force everyone else to move first, to reveal first, to lose balance first. You don't need to raise your voice. You don't need to say the last word. You just need to hold your logic and let the silence work for you. Because every second you don't react is another second they question themselves. This is how you win, without argument, without noise, without losing your emotional system. You don't overpower, you override.